So it's been 24 hours since the news that the project is no longer going to be with us, that it's coming to an end in, I think it's 2.5, 3 weeks' time.
Very sad news.
It's very sad news, and we just kind of wanted to reflect it as someone that was on it for 14 of the 16 years. Like, it honestly, it became like a second home. And when you've been on a show that long, and also when you've been on a show from the beginning, like, you're in the trenches with people. You know, the times that we were thought that our show was going to be axed from day one, you'd have to read article after article that was just so critical, as you would imagine, of a new show. And we were trying to do something different. Comedy mixed with news, and then we'd sometimes have these deep long-form stories, and other times we were playing funny clips, and other times I'd do a news read. I remember the first few weeks of doing it was literally, maybe even the first year, news read, and then Husey would have a joke off the back, or Charlie would have a joke off the back. News read, joke off the back. And it took people a while to understand, particularly because I'd come from doing the Rove news spot where it was comedy news, that the news I was actually delivering was real. It's just that with often things in life, there's a comedic angle to find in it, and we wanted to give people light relief at 7 o'clock at night, which is what it was back then, 7 to 7:30.
The 7 p.m. project.
The 7 p.m. project. And so when you're making those kind of shows night after night, and it's so hard to explain how hard it is to get a show up like that is trying to do things differently and reinvent itself every single day, requires such passion from the people that work there, dedication. You can't phone it in ever. It is a really hard slog. And over the years, I made so many friends on that show, and I'm thinking of them all today, many of them who have gone, but many who are still there, who had to hear the news yesterday that they don't have a job anymore. And if you are looking for people to employ in this industry, they are some of the most talented people you'll find. The way they can pivot and their ability to cover light and shade and be, you know, on top of the news, but also find a completely different angle. Like, it is a certain suite of skill sets that not everybody has, and they're just bloody awesome people.
They are awesome people, and I think people forget that when a show is on TV, you can have your opinion of it, and I've been told those opinions quite a lot in person when I've been out at pubs about the project and about the things it stood for. I will forever be proud that I was part of that show, and proud that for everything that show stood for. But even the people that didn't like it, I think, should feel sad, because it is 150. That's like a very conservative estimate. 150 jobs of people who have families in Australian media, which now don't exist anymore. And regardless of your view of a show, unless you think you don't actually want Australians to work, then it's a sad day. And also, because the industry in general is shrinking, it's not like it used to be where you go, oh, don't worry, you're a camera operator, that's fine. There's 14 other jobs going. For a lot of these people now, they're going to have to think, damn, is there any other work going? Like, we see it in other shows so often.
Of course.
I know when you go to be a guest on like a 4 show and you're like, hey, what else are you working on at the moment? That list, when I would ask someone that, would be 6 things, and they would be booked up for the year. And now they're like, I've got one thing in 3 months, but I've had to go back and, you know, get a job at a cafe to fill in the gaps. So it's just, it's a sad day for the arts in Australia. And I think the platform that it gives.
I was going to say, the number of artists, comedians, musicians, people with films, books, they would all come on the project to sell their product, their song, their, you know, books, and sell they would. Like, our viewers were the most loyal viewers, and I know that from my own experience. There is absolutely no way that I would have raised over $25 million for brain cancer research without those viewers. We would ask them to respond, they would. We'd show them a family that had come to us and said, we desperately need help, and they'd let us into their homes and we'd air a story about them. And then within the next day, we'd be reporting they'd raised $500,000 on a GoFundMe to fund their child's life-saving treatment. Our viewers were just incredible. And I think you forget some of the things that happened over the years. Like, even, this sounds insane, but even having Waleed on our show was groundbreaking. To have Waleed host that show with me, the way it championed women, I'm so proud of everything they've done. I spoke to Waleed yesterday, and, you know, I don't think I'd ever heard him that emotional. He was so emotional about it. And, you know, to Sarah and Sam and Georgie, all the fourths that have been on that desk, you know, who just show up and have to get across everything that's happening that night and chip in on live TV. Like, it's live. It was happening every night live on air. And I'm thinking of everybody today because it's never nice to find out that show is no longer. And I think there'll be a lot of people that miss turning on the TV at 6:30 night and having the company of those people up there on the screen.
You know what's sad too? I was talking about it with a friend because obviously free to air, you always used to be able to get all the footy games on free to air. And now sometimes on Saturdays you won't be able to get a game unless you have a subscription service. Of course, the project went out on a free to air service, and the fact that you lose a show like that, much like losing your sport and stuff, more and more, if you want good quality content, sadly,
you have to pay for it.
It's no longer for free. And so to lose a flagship show, which, like I said, regardless of what you thought of it, delivered quality content at no cost to you, it's just sad.
And I think you forget what's happening in people's homes. Often they're sitting home alone with no company, and then you turn on the TV, and we became like company for people. They'd come up to me and say, oh, my God, I feel like I know you, because we talk about our lives and share everything we could with them. And I feel sad. I don't want people to have that feeling and to feel alone. And I think that's the power of TV and free-to-air TV and the sports. Like, you think of how many people come together to watch something like that. It's a thing that's dying, and it's really sad. And it's a sad day. It's a sad day for TV, but we should also be proud. 16 years of a live 6-night-a-week
Pretty amazing
TV show is phenomenal.
Pretty
so
amazing.
Thinking of everybody there today.
Yep.